Good morning, students. A very hearty welcome to GC Tech Hub CS tutorials. Students, as you people are already facing the pre-board examinations now, so it has become very imperative that you understand the question paper pattern thoroughly. Already, I have uploaded the first two parts of sample paper discussion on my channel. So kindly go and watch that if you have not yet seen it. And also I will be including the link in the description for those first two parts. Today we will be discussing the third part and we'll be taking up a few more questions from part B section 1. So let us move on to today's class. So these are the questions which we are going to take today. Question number 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, which belong to section 1 of part B. So these are 2 marks questions as you can see, and mostly these are conceptual questions. So we start with the very first one, that is 29th question. What possible outputs are expected to be displayed on the screen at the time of execution of the program from the following code? Also specify the maximum values that can be assigned to each of the variables lower and upper. So we need to first mark a few things. We need to specify the maximum values which can be assigned and also the correct possible outputs which we will be getting by running this code. So the possible output options are provided over here. These are the options which are provided to us, and we have to select the correct possible option. Now, it is mentioned over here that there could be more than one outputs. So, we should understand the mark distribution. It is half mark each for the outputs and half mark each for the maximum values of lower and upper. So a very scoring question at that, and it is a question based on the module that is random. So let us start with it. We have AR, which is a list consisting of elements. So we will just write them like this. AR equals 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have these values over here. Now next is lower. Lower equals random.randint 1 comma 3. We know that the randint function generates random numbers. Excuse me. It generates. We know that the randint function generates random numbers within the range which is given over here. So the range is usually, it is like this: randint a comma b, and the random number which is generated, that is between a and b, including a and b. That means here if we have 1 comma 3, then it should generate random numbers 1, 2, 3, and the next one it should generate random numbers 2, 3 and 4. So lower can be either 1, 2 or 3, upper can be either 2, 3 and 4, right? For k in range, now we come to this statement here. For k in range, lower comma upper plus 1. So here students, we need to take every possible combination of lower and upper, because we can get any possible combination for like lower could be 1, upper could be 2, lower could be 1, upper could be 3. So we have to consider every possible option, right? So this is going to take a while. So we will first take the combination lower as 1 and upper as 2. So we will first take this combination 1 and 2. So we have taken it like that. So for k in range, lower, we start from lower and upper plus 1, that is 3. So it should be 1 comma 2. Print AR K. So K is the index within the list, and AR is already the list. So AR1 is what? It is 30, and AR2 is what? It is 40. So we will be writing it like this over here. So firstly we will be writing AR1, which is equals to 30, followed by a hashtag after this. Okay, then we have 2. So for 2 it is 40, and then again a hashtag. Okay, so this is one of the outputs which is written over here. Now let us see it for the second combination, where lower is 1 and upper is 3. So K will be in the range 1, 2 and 3, because upper plus 1 has to be there. Okay. So you can see that now you can already eliminate one of the choices. You can already see that each of these outputs consist of 3 values. Here K consists of 2 values, so the output consists of 2 terms, and here K consists of 3 values, so output consists of 3 terms. So K is equal to 1, 2 and 3. So we should consider only those possible combinations of lower and upper which are going to have 3 values for K. So one is this one. Let's see this. So K is 1, 2 and 3. That means our answer should be 30 hashtag, 40 hashtag, 50 hashtag. So one is this, and we can see that one of the options is also being satisfied from this. Next is 1 comma 1 and 4, which will give us 4 values. So we will leave out that option. We will rule out this combination of lower 1 and upper 4. Second one, we start with 2, lower as 2, 2 and 2. So this is absolutely not justified, because that would give us only one value, 2, where lower would be 2 and upper would be 3. So only one value will be taken. So we rule out this one also. 2, 3, where we would be having 2 to 4, that is 2 and 3, only 2 values. So we rule out this also. 2 and 4. So 2, 3 and 4, yes. So this combination is again working. So we are going to take this combination here. So we will be taking here lower as 2 and upper as 4. So K would take up values 2, 3 and 4, because upper has to be upper plus 1. And now considering 2, 3 and 4, so we have 40, 30 and 60. 40, 30 and 60. Can we see? No, we cannot see it over here. Now we'll be taking the next one, that is 3. 3 to 2, again we cannot do this, because 2 is less, so this loop will not work. 3 and 3, only one value. 3 and 4 will be 3 and 4, only two values. So we can see that there is only this option which is matching up any of these conditions. Okay, so let's review it once again. 1 and 2, 1 and 2 we have already taken, so this is not applicable. 1 and 3 is applicable, because of which it was 1, 2 and 3. Then 1 and 4, which was 1, 2, 3 and 4, 4 values, hence it was not applicable. 2 and 2 not applicable. 2 and 3, 2 and 3 only 2 values, and 2 and 4 was applicable, but it gave us one of the options which is not there in this list. So, and then next one was 3 and 2, which was not possible, because 3 is less than greater than 2. And then 3 and 3, again not possible, it would give us only one value, and 3 and 4 would give us only two values. So we conclude that only one of the outputs is matching. So it is not always necessary that you will be having two outputs. You can have one output also. So only one option will also do, because it is already mentioned in the question that output It could be the S has been kept in bracket, which means there could be one output also, there could be more than one output also. So until and unless we do a thorough dry run of this entire code, we cannot get the correct option. So by doing the dry run, now it is quite clear that only this second option is the one which is matching all the conditions. Now we had to also solve the second part of the question, that is maximum value for lower and upper. So you can see that the maximum value for lower is 3 and the maximum value for upper is 4. So for this correct answer option you will get 1 mark and here you get half mark each. So this is also very important question. Next we will be solving the 30th question. What do you understand by candidate keys in a table? Give a suitable example of candidate keys from a table containing some meaningful data. So candidate keys are all those keys which have the potential to become a primary key. For example, we have a student table and in this table we have some of the keys like roll number, admission number, board roll number, and scholar number, then the student name, the class, section, and so on. So you can see that over here, I'll just write the few of them like phone number also, age, and email. So which all fields can be considered as potential candidates for becoming a primary key? Here we can see that roll number is there, admission number can be used, board roll number can be used, scholar number can be used, even S name can be used, phone number can be used, and email also can be used because every user has his or her own unique email. But out of these, one of them is chosen because of its uniqueness, like board roll number. Now let's rule out certain of them. Roll number. One class can have a certain number of roll numbers. So roll number can be used to distinguish between students in a class but not in a school, because in a school there could be many students with roll number 10. There could be many students with roll number 5. So we rule out this one. Second one, admission number. Admission number can uniquely identify a student in a school but not in a global scale. So again we have to rule out this one. Board roll number can identify students uniquely in a country. So this can be considered as primary key. Scholar number, again there is no guarantee that the scholar number of two students in a country would not be the same. So we rule out this. S name, of course, two people can have the same name. Phone number, these days again some people have WhatsApp numbers, some people have numbers which are being used which are landline numbers. So it is quite possible that two students have the same phone number because they are siblings. So again this will also be ruled out. And email can be sometimes many people have the same names and the pattern of email can be the same. So again we cannot consider this as a proper way. Okay, so out of these, board roll number is the one which emerges out to be the primary key, and hence here we can say that all these keys which were there, which were running in the race for which were in the race, which were contesting against each other to become the primary key, they all are the candidate keys. So you need to provide a table also. So you can just provide the table structure and maybe one or two sample records in the table, and you have to explain the example also why this particular key has to be the primary key. So you get many theoretical questions also, which are quite straightforward. So you should not face any problems with those. Our next question, question number 31 and 32. Differentiate between fetch one and fetch all methods with suitable examples. So fetch one method is used to fetch one record, used to fetch one record from the cursor into result set. We know that now this is something which is used for Python and MySQL connectivity. So for this purpose only we first create the connection object, then we create the cursor. The cursor is used for all sorts of communication between the database and the Python program. So whenever we are running a select query, then some records are always fetched into the cursor. They always are extracted into the cursor. Now from the cursor we need to extract these into the result set. So for this purpose only we use fetch one and fetch all methods. Fetch one will fetch only one record out of the cursor into the result set in the form of a tuple. And fetch all method will fetch all the records, or all tuples from cursor into result set in the form of a list of tuples, where every individual tuple forms one of the records within the list. So you can give suitable example for this. First define it. So 1 mark for defining and 1 mark for providing examples of it. So how to provide the example? You can just take a small table over here, like for example if you have a pet table, okay, and within the pet table you have pet ID, pet name, date of birth, owner name. So we have these many fields over here, and firstly you will establish a connection. So you'll write con equals mysql.connect, connector.connect, and you can write the connection string providing the host name, the username, password and database. Then you can form a cursor like pet cursor equals con.cursor. Now you can form an SQL select asterisk from pet and pet cursor dot execute SQL, and from here you can form a pet set, which is the result set for pet table. So this will be equal to pet cursor dot fetch one or dot fetch all, right? So these two functions can be used to fetch all the records or one record from the cursor object into the result set, and you have to print its value. So you can just provide this program code as an example. You can form any example of your choice over here. So these are theory questions which can be dealt with very easily. Next is write the full forms of DDL and DML. So DDL stands for Data Definition Language, and DML stands for Data Manipulation Language. Write any two commands of DML in SQL. So for DML stands for Data Manipulation Language. So one of the commands could be update and one of them could be delete command, because these two are used for manipulating the database. That is for updating records, for deleting records, and we can also include insert record over here, and also select query. So this was these are, again you can see that we dealt with 3 theory questions in our question paper. Coming to the next question, the last question of this section. Find and write the output of the following Python code. So this code is given and we need to write its output. So you can see that this is a function. So we will look for the statement within the global area, that is display, which is a function call, and you can see it is sending a string to the function. So the argument, the parameter over here is str, which consists of this string, that is fun@python 3.0. So you can see over here that we have str, which is the string, and in this, within this string we have these indices. These are the positive indices and these are the negative indices. Okay, so we'll start with it. So firstly, m equals an empty string. We can see m is an empty string, so we can simply write m like this. For I in range 0 to len str, that is, it is clear that I has to start from 0 and it has to end at the last of the string. If str I dot is upper, so we check each of these characters in sequence now. Is it upper? Yes. M equals m plus str I dot lower, that is m should be equal to m plus lowercase of f, that is small f. Okay, so this is m for the time being. Then we will not be executing else, because the first one was true. Then this is also not to be executed, and this else is a part of the inner if. So we will be leaving all of them. Okay, and again we'll go back because we are still within the loop for the next one, that is u. Is it upper? No. So we come down to the next one. We come down, this condition is false, so we come down here. Is it lower? Yes. So m equals m plus str I dot upper, that means whatever was in m, that has to be already maintained, and we have to convert this into upper, so that will become fu, and then ignore all of them. Okay, go back for the next one, that is small n. So small n, because it is also lower, so this will be the solution for it. So we will just add it like this, that is capital N. Next we have at the rate, which is not an alphabet. So we will be checking which of these options, which of these if statements will be satisfying it. First one will be wrong, second will be wrong, because because it's not an alphabet, so it cannot be categorized as upper or lower. So we come to the else part. If I is divisible by 2, that is if I is an even number, so we'll check the value of I, which is 3, which is not an even number, so we come to this else part. So this is also skipped. We come to the else part, m plus hashtag, that is whatever was the value of m, just add hashtag to that. So this was the solution for this problem, as we saw. Let us continue with it and try to do the others. P. Now P is uppercase, so make it lowercase. So here also it is going to be small p. Then we have small y. Again it is matching is lower, so we have to convert it into upper. So it becomes capital Y. Same way with this one also. Wherever we find a small letter, we will just once you solve at least one or two times or one or two iterations, the rest of the iterations it just becomes clear to you. Now we have 3. So we can see that 3 is neither lower or upper because it's a digit. So we will directly come to the else part over here. Else part, is I divisible by 2? So I, yes, it is divisible by 2. So m equals m plus str I minus 1. So I minus 1 means i's value is what, 10. So I minus 1 will be 9. So whatever is in str I minus 1, that is now it has changed. It was small n, but we have changed it to capital N. Okay, just one iteration ago. So m plus that value, that is because it is pointing to capital N now. So this capital N would be added to m. Next is dot, which is again not any of the alphabet. So we come to else part. Is I divisible by 2? No. So we come to this else part, add a hashtag after this. So this is a hashtag over here. Then finally we have 12 and we have a 0 over here. So this will not be executed. We come to else part. Yes, I is divisible by 2. So again str I minus 1, which was because I was 12. So I minus 1 will be equal to 11. That is this one, which is dot. Now this dot has already changed to hashtag. Okay. So what will be added to m? This hashtag only will be added, as str I minus 1 has to be added. So we will add hashtag over here. So this becomes our m. And at the end we have to print it. So our output is going to be so this is going to be our output. So these were some of the questions from this section, that is section B, section 2 of part B. Okay, some 2 marks questions, and mostly these consisted of thoughts, conceptual questions, and some theory questions also. So please solve more of these types of questions to get a better idea about the question paper. So with this I end today's class. Thank you.